for Aaron to get the recording started.
Okay, I started recording.
Okay. We'd like to introduce Mark and Sally Dougherty. Sally is, of course, Larry's beloved, and Mark is his son, and they are living in Brussels. And they will be talking a little bit later, but we are so happy to have them with us because, as we all know, the program was about Larry. So we'll talk a little bit more. You'll be able to talk more about your things. And while I'm talking, I'll be talking also about Larry more in depth. Okay, Aaron, huh? Do you want to start, Aaron?
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So let me just reduce this. Okay.
30 people watching.
So I hope that everybody sees the presentation, and we are about to start. So welcome to the Boston University, Ben-Gurion University, most of the time, the MSM program. We have so many people, so let's try to keep it in orderly fashion. The agenda for today, this will take more than a couple of hours, if not more. It will be a quick introduction by me, the history of the MSM program by Cheryl. We will have a very short presentation from Sam from a teacher's perspective, and then Larry Doherty's son, Mark, who looks exactly like Larry. I never saw him, but I see the pictures. And then individual presentations, about 3 to 5 minutes each, and I would appreciate if everybody sticks to the program and to the time schedule. This will be at the end, we'll leave it for open discussion. So the meeting logistics is simple and straightforward. The meeting will be in English, since the program was in English and we have people here that don't speak Hebrew. Okay, the meeting time, the Zoom meeting time is unlimited because I have a Zoom account. If something happens to you, just click on the original URL and you will be admitted into the program. For those who submitted pictures, your individual presentation pictures will be played as desktop sharing, and it will be controlled by me. I have muted all, and if you want to speak, you just hold the space bar or click mute or unmute yourself, but don't jump, don't interrupt. And yeah, you may want to adjust your lighting and your microphone so that we need to see you and hear you better. The meeting notes and pictures will be available to all, including links to a video recording that I will make available after the meeting. So let's begin. Cheryl, the baton is yours.
Okay, in the 1960s and 70s, BU established an MSM program for the US military in Europe. Larry Dougherty, who was a BU graduate, lived in Brussels. Just 1 second, Aaron, do you have it or am I able to do it as well?
Yeah, you can,
I don't think I have.
I'm not sure. No, you can't.
Oh, okay, so I'll have to tell you when. Larry Dougherty, just stay here. Larry Dougherty was a BU graduate living in Brussels at the time, proposed to use this model for Europeans who needed more management education and helped to establish the BU MSM Brussels program in conjunction with a local university. Over the years, the MSM BU program expanded to other European cities, London, Paris, Rome, and later in Spain. stay here. In 1984, Larry wanted to move his family to Israel, and he understood the need of developing a prestigious quality business program in the country. No, go back, stay on the first
Okay.
one. At the time, there were not any American university programs offered entirely in the English language in Israel. Larry, understanding the need, worked together with his colleagues at BU Met College and reached out to Ben Gurion University. After receiving the approval from the Israel Council for Higher Education, Malad, the first joint BU-BGU degree program began in '85. Since Larry loved to ski and was now living in the desert, he also established the Negev Ski Patrol. Next. When the first graduating class in 1986 had 8 students, and the numbers of students continued to increase over the years. In the mid-90s, Larry approached Israel Aircraft and began discussing the option of offering an in-house MSM program. 30 students at II studied in a cohort on site during 93 and 95, and an additional 25 from ELTA joined the group in Beersheba. The substantial increase in graduates in 95 and 97 were due to the large number of students from Israel Aircraft and ELTA. The second site was established in Tel Aviv starting in 97, 98. Around this time, BU Met began focusing on distance learning and started to phase out all of the European programs in Israel, although the Brussels continued for several years. In 2001, following the final graduating class, the BU program closed the Israel MSM program. After the program ended, Larry retired and continued to enjoy his life of leisure with his wife, Sally, and son, Mark, and you'll hear shortly from them. Who are our students? They came from all over Israel, the West Bank and Gaza, 40 plus countries, including India, Malaysia, China, Hong Kong, South America, South Africa, Ghana, and throughout Europe. Many were already in key managerial positions in major industries throughout Israel and abroad and wanted to further their skills and knowledge. Following graduation, alumni went on to major executive positions in both the private sector and government, established their own businesses. Several continued their education onto PhDs and teach at universities, worked in UNRWA in Jordan, health tech entrepreneur, foreign media advisor to the Israeli Prime Minister's office in Israel, ambassador to the UK, authored academic papers, published books, and many other positions over the years. We will soon hear from our graduates. Okay, next slide. Larry's life was cut too short, and he passed away in '07. Just weeks before we had scheduled the BU reunion in Tel Aviv. Although the program in Israel had closed several years prior, he was a proud a Boston University alum, always trying to find ways to continue to stay here, to engage with alumni, and so happy that we had finally arranged that event. Some of you were there with us. And we celebrated his life and the dedication of the BU program. There were over 100 BU graduates, both from MSM as well as the alumni living in Israel. Next slide. The next slide. Picnics, huh? Go up one. Picnics, Larry was an amazing, no, go up. You're going to. Larry was an amazing chef at home and moved to entertain, brought to the MSM program. How many of you remember the barbecue or Kentucky Fried Chicken behind Monel Gimel? Next slide. Larry was a man of conviction and dedication to everything around him. Every year we would plan an annual Thanksgiving barbecue with turkey hot dogs. He actually won a TV at the local supermarket, and because it was paid with BU money, he felt he couldn't keep the TV and he had to donate it to another cause. Next one. He loved being on the field, playing with the students. Check out Sam and Larry there with touch football. He also would prepare t-shirts for the students that semester we stay, getting it right the first time, and all the best of the Negev Ski Patrol. Next. In fact, when we were ready to graduate, if you remember, you had to fill out 2 forms, the official graduation form and the application to the Negev Ski Patrol, with questions such as, if it snows, who do you say first? The people or the camels? We all know the answer to that question. If you look closely at the picture on the left, there is actually a small handmade camel sitting there with a hand knitted scarf and thing. And many years ago, when it did snow in Beersheba, we had faxes arrive at the office asking, Supreme Court needed assistance to save camels, and several of you ready to come to the rescue. His sense of humor often caught others off guard, In the office, in a suit and tie, he would give the persona of a distant businessman, but take him out of the office, and he was the Brooklyn boy who just wanted to sit back and enjoy his friends. In 1991, to the right, the Scud semester, Larry arranged for a real-life camel to be with us at the graduation so that everyone could take a picture of the camel and the skis. The last one. Not only was Larry my boss and mentor, we were friends of the family, and Sam and I knew a wonderful side of him. The guy who would wear shorts, his flowered shirts, drinking good scotch and smoking a cigar in the garden. Larry left a legacy of education, warmth, and friendship, and the program left a legacy of over 700 well-educated graduates for the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now while we were talking, we have the number of participants went up to 33 now. We'll go into the individual presentations. Please restrict yourself to the 3 to 5 minutes limit. And this will go like this. Okay. The pictures will be played in the background and you just tell me when to move ahead. The priority of the order of the presentation is according to the graduation year, and priority has been given to those who submitted pictures. The presentation content, I hope, is going to be why and how did I get into the program, about your year or 2 years at the program, how it influenced your career, and what do you do these days. This is the list of participants. You're going to get a copy of this presentation in PDF format, so you will be able to see all these names. So the first individual presentation will be Cheryl. Cheryl, we difficult to hear you, and if with the headset, it's much better.
Is this okay? Is this better?
No, with the headset.
You said it was difficult to hear?
No, we want you to wear the headset.
I have.
Was this working? It was a mic.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I had on before. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. There are lots, so I'll tell you when, okay? It's hard to believe that so many years have passed since the BU days when the program first opened 36 years ago. In our office with limited resources, we ran an entire university that included marketing, student finances, HR, faculty hires, and everything else that involved with an academic program. Next. The biggest challenge was not having a telephone line in our office. There wasn't infrastructure for phone lines that only came months after the first year. At the time, we did all the advertising in the local and international newspapers, and people would send requests for printed brochure and leave a phone number to call back locally. I would go to the telephone Siburi in the Mon Note with my bag of a simonim to call the potential students. I felt rather odd telling them that in case we get disconnected, I was on a public phone. Here we were marketing a program worth thousands of dollars, and we didn't even have a telephone. Next. We immediately ordered a computer through BGU that only took 4 months to arrive. So I was given a typewriter to write all the letters. However, we did have the precursor to the internet called BitNet, used only for mail, which was a university computer network that connected major universities in the area. Until the BU office was hardwired, I would go across the campus to the mainframe to send and receive messages. Think of the life before Skype, WhatsApp, FaceTime, and Zoom. Around 1987, we were one of the first offices in all of Beersheba to actually get a fax machine. Remember back then, there was no internet. Next. It was a major challenge working in tandem with the USA academic year, taking into account 14-week semester and working around the Jewish holidays. The fall semester had to be September, December, spring, January to April, summer, May to August. We would have to find innovative ways to make up the extra days. Next. Some of you may remember some of these titles. We would order all the books from BU, so we needed to order months in advance, and often they would not arrive in time. When that happened, we would have to start making photocopies of the first chapters so you would all get your books in time. Next. Remember, there was not online registration. How many of you remember coming to the office to register and pay for classes? As the program grew in size, it was more of a challenge with 30, 40 students standing out of the door, waiting in line outside the door to register. Which type of student were you? Next. On the other hand, one of the greatest rewards of this program for me as the administrator was having the chance to get to know so many of you. Since everyone had to come to the office, this was the time for me to get to know you. I loved hearing about your families, work, your promotions, and anything else that you wanted to discuss with me. I often think if I took the pictures and the names, I almost might be able to match them even after all these years. For many of the younger full-time students who may have been studying abroad for the first time, I often took on the role as a counselor, just giving a helping hand or time to listen. Sam also had international students coming to his laboratory, so we would often have a combined party, such as this one for Hanukkah, in which the BU Jewish students lit the candles and taught the African students how to pay dreidel. What fun it was making latkes for everyone. Next. As a side note, when I started working at the program, our children were 10 and 8, and they're actually on this call somewhere, and I was only in my second year of my undergraduate degree. I was a full-time working mom, going to university, and Sam was away for 45 days from Miluim every year and often another 45 days traveling. And once he completed his Miluim, he started going for 45 days, coming back to BU in the summers. So when you would complain how difficult it was, stay on it, how difficult it was being a working parent and studying, I was able to totally understand and empathize with you. When I needed to choose my thesis topic for my master's degree in '93 in educational administration, I decided to examine the GMAT as a predictor in the BU-BGU MSM program. In 1998, I started working on my PhD. It took me 10 years, and I finally got it. Okay, stay on this one. When we finally had enough students, we were able to have a formal cap and gown ceremony at the Zonenfeld Auditorium with Elgar's graduation pomp and circumstance. We needed to organize diplomas, names, stack in alphabetical order, and even had dress rehearsals when there were so many students. There was nothing more exciting than sitting up on stage and seeing a large number of students along with their hundreds of guests who had come to the graduation. We were the forerunners for cap and gown, and we even taught BGU how to do one later. Next. Oh, the moment of planning, the next one. The planning, it was like having a wedding every year. We needed to order the robes from BU months in advance so they would arrive in time, book the auditorium, the sound people, the flowers, the caterers, a string quartet. Go on, next one. Since moving to Boston in '06, I started teaching as an adjunct at BU Met, courses in women and health, and most recently, business communication for international students. The students were mostly from China, and yes, this is a SWOT analysis and a lecture on American food. Next. Sam and I, this is me, Sam and I have 4 wonderful grandchildren who all live in the Boston area. Our son Yotam, who studied in the BU MSM program in Boston, is now teaching accounting and finance at Met. My daughter Yael and I published the book Schlepping, Schlepp plus Love plus Shopping, Developing Relationships, Self-Image, and Memories, and are starting to gather information for our next book, Schlepping During COVID. And Sam and I are still married, and you will hear from him soon.
Okay, great. Mark, are you online?
Yes, I am.
And your mother too?
Yes, my mother is here.
Okay.
Well, first of all, I want to thank all of you for this. It's extremely moving. My father would have been excited and moved and made one of his, I thought was lame jokes. As an adolescent, I never got around the Negev Ski Patrol thing. I just felt he was trying to be cool like me. Just a few words about the background to how he came to decide to start this program. My dad had a consulting company in Brussels. He was very involved with the Jewish community. And the MSM program in Brussels started as a hobby. He never got paid for it. It was a complete volunteer activity. And after 14 years being involved with BU in Brussels, basically they owed him a favor. And that was very, very practical for him because he, we're not a Belgian family originally. And more and more there was talk at home about making Aliyah. And at the time, John Silver, he had a relationship with the whole campus at BU was for some reason afraid of John Silver, and my father got along with him, and he called in the favor, and he took a huge risk. He sold his consulting company in Brussels, and we moved. I remember as a 14-year-old, I was told 4 weeks, June 1985, that we were going to leave Belgium. And we went from Brussels to Beersheba, and I went from the sort of very comfortable Jewish community in Brussels to Makif Daled. And I learned to be an Israeli, served in the army, went to Tel Aviv University, and I owe him a lot, and we all owe him a lot. Typical of him, when he retired and he was 65, he went on to work. I don't know if any of you know, he worked as a consultant for the UN for a couple of years. And then he decided at 70 that he wanted to become a tzamchan. He wanted to learn parachuting, skydiving. So, of course, he would never take no for an answer. He tried first in Israel, and obviously they told him they wouldn't take the risk. He was too old. Went to Florida, did his skydiving course, came back, did well on his skydiving course, and unfortunately, a few months later, he was diagnosed with stage 4 melanoma. And he fought very hard for 3 years. He was very tough. Most physicians gave him a few months. And this project, was really an act of Zionism. He never got rich of it. Was really an adventure. Lastly, I'd like to say how much he would have really enjoyed the Abraham peace agreements now, because really his dream, those were also the Oslo years, was to have a program that would bring together Arabs and Jews, and maybe to do something with Jordan even before the peace agreements in 93 and 94. And I'm sure that he would still, with the agreements with Dubai, he'd be on the phone with management in Boston and pitching all sorts of new ideas with them. So again, thank you for doing this. I was wondering all these years if anybody remembered him, and we're all very, very moved, and we're very grateful. A few words about myself. I've been living for the last 10 years in Belgium, and until recently, I was an advisor to the transport minister, and I now work for the Belgian Ministry of Defense. And my mom has joined us, and she can tell you many stories. Well, thank you very much, Cheryl, and Sam and Aaron, who I haven't had the pleasure of meeting. Toda rabba lekulam.
Okay, Mark, I'm just going to flip through the pictures that you sent us this morning. This is John Silver, I guess.
Yes, this is in Brussels at the start of this must be the early 70s. The program at the time, along the same format, it was organized with Ben Gurion University. It was organized with the Flemish side of Brussels University, because everything here in Belgium is double in 2 languages. So they have a Brussels University in French and one in Flemish, and this is the Flemish one.
Let me just make a comment here. This is the MSM program with Ben Gurion University in Beersheba, but we have one delegate from the Belgium program, Gadi, right?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry if I'm a foreigner here, but it's a pleasure to hear everything.
Me too, Avi Rabi also.
Avi Rabi. Okay. That's a CITES delegation. Okay, Mark. Yeah. So this is.
So this is a few years later, graduation in Brussels. I do believe, again, you can see John Silver to left of my dad, I believe is John Silber. By the way, later on, years afterwards in the mid-90s, you know, I always heard about John Silber and John Silber. I didn't really know until I became myself a student at BU that nobody in BU among the students called him John Silber. Everybody called him Captain Hook. And I won't comment anymore about that. But at BU, he was known as Captain Hook. So this is with Yitzhak Rager, who I remember, this is possibly before he was the mayor of Beersheba.
And later on, he spent some time in prison. Yes.
Okay, I must have, I didn't know about that. I'm gonna act like a politician. I wasn't aware, nobody told me. Now this picture, this is my mom here, brought this picture, and maybe any of you can help identify who these gentlemen are?
No. Okay.
And this is at another graduation, I believe in Israel, late 80s. And once again, we're clueless. So maybe
that was the rector. That was the rector. Yeah.
I think it was Michael Oran.
who?
Michael Oran.
No, that was the rector. Sam, I forget his name. Shaga, was that Shaga? What? Finger. That was Finger, right? And that was he was the one who had the Germany program. I forget his name.
Okay.
Okay.
And then I believe I remember as a kid this student, and this is I think, was it in the office in Meonot Gimel, Cheryl?
It could have been, yeah, could have been.
And you might remember, I mean, you cannot see it from this, and I apologize for the poor rendition, but this was an article from the Jerusalem Post, and the headline was, do you want a degree or do you want an education?
Right.
Oops, I'm sorry. Okay, Mark. These are the pictures that you sent us.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. We move on. Hopefully, we'll stay within this 5 minutes time frame. Sam, from the point of view of a teacher, give us some formulas in differential equation.
What? Okay, very briefly, I just want to talk about two things. One, the conversations I had with Larry about what kind of education we wanted to give our students. Now, most graduate programs in management try to provide the students with a lot of knowledge, information. And that's what most of the courses were about. Larry and I, when we were discussing the program and the type of direction we wanted the students to take, understood the importance of gaining information and knowledge. Without that, you can't do anything. But we also understood that in order to become good managers, you need not just information, but also wisdom. And what we tried to do was put into the program, into as many courses as possible, the concept of gaining wisdom, gaining experience, not just knowledge. And that was an important part of what we did. For example, in my course that most of you probably took, my statistics course, we deliberately did not turn it into a mathematics course. We turned it into a philosophy course of understanding not how do you do various statistical tests and how they came about, but rather why do you use them and how do they make you think? And these were important components of our program to help differentiate it with many of the other programs that came later. This is something that the students may not appreciate while they're studying. In fact, may even confuse a number of them. But in the long run, it helped us produce better students. The second thing was, what is the difference between MSM and an MBA degree? You had an MSM degree. The reason it was not an MBA was because of internal Boston University politics. Boston University is composed of semi-independent colleges, which do their own curriculum, hire their own teachers, and so forth. It isn't that centralized. And in Boston University, there's a School of Management. And the School of Management insisted it be the only school that give out MBA degrees. Since we were a metropolitan college, the School of Management refused to allow us to give out MBA degrees. So we established the MSM degree, Masters in
Science.
Master of Science in Management, which we also gave here on campus. And we still give the MSM degree. So that's why it was called the MSM. It was effectively the same program as an MBA. It also allowed you to have a more specific education, because in the MBA, you get a more general education. In the MSM, we were allowed to give certificates in certain directions or concentrations in certain directions, be it finance or international marketing and so forth. So that was the big major difference between the MSM and MBA. We came here to Boston actually in 2005, where I got a full-time faculty position here. And we've been discussing that ever since. And I myself retired a year and a half ago, but I'm still teaching as an adjunct professor here at Boston University. So I wish all of you good luck. I hope you had a great education, great careers, and enjoy yourselves. Thank you.
Sam, show us your shirt. No, you have to get up, stand up.
Okay, thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Ski Patrol. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. So I'm the graduate of the first year, and how I got to the program is very interesting story. I spent a good chunk of my life at Cytex Corporation, and this is a picture of me in one of the trade shows. So in 1986, we were only 8 finalists in the program, although if I remember correctly, we started 12. What happened to the others, I don't remember exactly. I guess they didn't appreciate the difficulty of studying in English. I worked for Cytex and convinced them to allow me to take the program while working full-time, and most importantly, pay for it. This was extremely expensive program, to say the least. In the early 80s, we lived from Cytex, we lived in Boston, and my wife, Aviva, studied at Boston University in computer science. She was pregnant and she gave birth to our daughter, Lee, before she got her degree, and she used to walk with a baby in a stroller to the university for directed study. So this little child in the middle is Lee. Pay attention to her. This was in 1986. This picture was taken at our home in Ra'anana in 1991, when Cheryl or Larry sent me this T-shirt, very proudly announcing the resilience of the program, the fact that everybody stayed in Israel in 1991 under the Scud barrage of missiles. In 1984, we moved back to Israel, and we both visited Boston University in Boston to get Aviva's final paperwork. There, we bumped into the dean, Professor Skvarchus, who was also Aviva's teacher in computer science program. He remembered his former Israeli pregnant student with a baby and was excited to tell us both about the Boston University plans to starting MSM program in Israel. So it took a couple of more years, and I took the GMAT and registered to the program. And as I recall, I was the only Israeli with Israeli passport in the program. And together with Tim Krenko, who is going to talk about after me here, we drove in my Cytex car 4 days a week from Herzliya to Beersheba, completing the program in 1 year while I was working full time. After graduation, I was on the board of advisors of the program in Beersheba, and later I was on the board of alumni of the Boston University Metropolitan College in Boston, and I even taught 1 semester at Boston University in a course of marketing. My career at Cytex, after graduating, I was director of business development and strategic planning at the Israeli headquarters. And later I was vice president business development at Iris Graphics. Iris was the inkjet subsidiary of Cytex in Boston. After leaving Cytex in 1996, I worked as a consultant and later as general manager and vice president marketing with several Israeli companies in Boston and in California. You can see more details in my LinkedIn file. So for the last 18 years, I live in Los Angeles. I have 3 children and 6 grandchildren. So this is my cap and gown in 1994 as a board member. And speaking, if you remember, little Lee, so this here is little Lee as a mother, taking a picture at the California Technology Institute, Caltech, which is close to where we live right now, and my 2 grandchildren. The bottom picture is Lee, when we were just a few months old, at what is called BU Beach. I don't know if you know Boston University, but those who visited there, this is behind the campus, and you see, or across the river, you see MIT. 36 years later, Lee visited there with her 2 children, and she put them on the lawn there. And this is Talia and Oren trying to mimic what their mother did 36 years earlier. This is my story. Tim, are you there?
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Aaron. Thanks all. So as Aaron said, we were in the first class, and I remember taking a bus down from Givatayim, which is an hour and a half from Beersheba, as a poor student going down to my first meeting there. wondering how I would get to Beersheba every day and hoping to find some kind of car. And I got to Beersheba, and there I met Aaron, who had his Cytex car. And Aaron was looking for a driver because Aaron had a back problem, and it was more comfortable for him to lie on his back in the car than for him to sit in the driver's seat. So Aaron found a driver and I found a car, and we had a great year together. Wow, I remember, I think we learned our spreadsheets on Lotus version 1.0. So that really makes us dinosaurs. It was interesting to see, Aaron, the picture, the graduation picture in your gown, because when you were at graduation, I was in my green Sahal uniform in reserve duty. And in fact, if you might remember, it was my wife who went up onto the stage to collect the award that I got in my name. So I missed that as well. And it's nice to close that 35 years later to see that picture of you in the gown. Well, I think just to kind of sum up, the Boston program really did influence my career tremendously. I really gained a lot from it. It's true that I've read a lot and learned a lot since then, but the foundations that I got really have served me well. I've progressed in my career in a number of managerial positions, including some senior managerial positions in Israeli subsidiaries of multinationals. I've been a VP in Unilever Israel and a CEO of one of their subsidiaries here. I was the CEO of Novartis Israel. I was the CEO of Novolog, which is one of Israel's today a public company. Then it wasn't, but one of the largest distributing, in fact, the largest distributor of pharmaceutical goods in Israel. Today, I'm the CEO of a medical device company called Tavtech. And really, all the way through that career, I think of and I use the basics and the foundations which I got during the program. All I can say is looking forward is that I hope that those foundations serve me well one day when I eventually retire and perhaps do a PhD. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Tim. So we are progressing here from 1986 to the end of the program. So we go year by year. So this is the graduate. There is no graduation picture of 1986. We start from 1987. And you see on this, okay. On the right-hand side is Lenny, right?
Hi, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. So this
Yes.
is you on the right-hand side?
That is correct.
Okay.
And I
So-
remember besides Cheryl and Larry.
Okay. What do you have to tell us?
Okay, well, first of all, thank you very much, Aaron and Cheryl, for organizing this. It sounds like a lot of fun. And also a quick greeting to the Menlier family. Sam, if you're still there, yeah, I see you. Yael and Yotam, I hope you're still on board, and greetings to you, and also from my wife, Marilyn. So anyway, to launch into this, I joined the second cohort in 1986. Reasons, I don't know, I was in the throes of a mild but very prolonged midlife crisis. At the time, I was a math professor at the University of Wyoming. That's Wyoming, not Miami. A lot of Israelis hear Miami when I say Wyoming, but it's the Wyoming cowboy state in the Wild West. So anyway, I got a sabbatical in the spring of 1986 in Jerusalem. So my wife and our two teenage children were all on board. And sometime during those months, I saw a little ad in probably the Jerusalem Post about the BGU program. And I had a meeting with the guru, Larry. And long story short, I decided to stay for the year and join the program. By the way, I just want to insert that, Mark, I don't know that you would remember, but I think I tutored you in algebra sometime during that year, unless you have a brother who is also taking algebra in Israel. But anyway, my really only lasting legacy to the program was that to pay for my my tuition, I designed a student registration and information system. As Cheryl described all the crude technology that we had. So I think it was in like a very early primitive database like DBase 1.0 or something like that. But Cheryl tells me that it actually remained in use for some time. So I'm sort of happy about that. And by the way, I promise all of you, the other graduates, that I did not insert some backdoor hack so that I could mess with your grades over the years. So any problems you experience, they're not my fault. So anyway, after the program, the family and I all returned to Laramie, Wyoming. And as the end stage of my midlife crisis, and if I was having a midlife crisis then, you can only imagine how old I must be now. But we don't have to go there. But I got interested in actuarial science and took exams to become an actuary, but I stayed in academia and became an actuarial educator. You know, most likely you all know that actuaries are people that use probability and statistics in order to model future financial risk, like in the insurance industry and so forth. So over the years, most of my students graduated and went to work for insurance companies or consulting companies and immediately had starting salaries much higher than I was earning at the end of my career. But I did get a lot of satisfaction and you know, good feelings about having the opportunity to interact with all of these people. So like I say, I stayed in academia and eventually moved to a small school called Robert Morris University, which is in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area. And there we founded an actuarial science program, which I am proud to say is one of the only 20 or so worldwide designated centers of actuarial excellence. My wife and I still live in Pittsburgh, and I retired from active teaching about 2 years ago. And that's my story. You have other pictures there? I wasn't really paying attention. So, yeah, there's the picture with Menlingers that I dug up out of an old photo album. So, gosh, we were young back then. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So, Libby, are you there?
I'm here. Hi.
Okay. Fire away.
Fire away. Okay. I saw the little advertisement in the newspaper while I was in the mayor's office. I had a book published and was in all the windows in Steinmatsky called Libby's Secrets, a series of children's stories. And I was teaching folk dancing in Israel, doing choreography. When I got divorced and my whole life changed and decided I needed a job that had security. And so the first thing I did was ask somebody in my dance world if, thinking I had a BA from Queens College in literature and education. And I went to somebody and I said, does the mayor need somebody? And came back to me and said, can you type? And so there I was, I accepted a job as a secretary to the mayor of Jerusalem, English secretary, Teddy Kollek. And after I came there in '83, by the time I got really frustrated that nobody saw me, that nobody understood who I was, and that I wasn't promoted immediately to be Teddy's advisor, I was in the political advisor's office and I decided that I was going to answer that ad and I was going to go get my master's degree. And so I began the bus trip from Jerusalem to Beersheba. At first we went through Hebron, actually, the bus went, and then it went through Kiryat Gat. And I see that Jill is there and Judy. I think maybe we were 3 women in the whole course. And I came from liberal arts, not from SciTex or Intel, and everybody there was really challenging for me. But I stuck through it. I got a student loan and wound up going to Beersheba once a week while we were working full time. And on Fridays, I worked as well. I had 5 children at home, 2 young children, 2 daughters, twins. And so what did I get out of all this whole thing? Number one, I got out of City Hall for 2 years and 1 day a week. And I got my master's degree. And I basically moved from being the mayor's secretary. When Ehud Olmert came into office, I became deputy political advisor. And then I moved into the in the ceremonies department, and I left Jerusalem as the chief of protocol of the city of Jerusalem. And I really attribute it to the things that I learned, strangely enough, in the course, and the things that I had the energy and the imagination to do because of the tools that I got in the course. I did all kinds of crazy things that different from anybody that spoke here. I did a program to bring computers literacy to the Shoafat refugee camp in the Women's Center. And I had 25 women who studied computers so that they could teach their children. And the idea was to hear the voices of women and create a place, co-create a place where children could be free, happy, and proud, and give them an equal opportunity. So this kind of carried me through, and I did a quilt program with women, Arabs and Jews and Christians. And right now, and I did 3 exhibitions in Jerusalem. And fortunately enough, I don't know, you don't have the picture, but Sally, if you remember, you and Larry came to the exhibition. This is the graduation picture, but I sent it to Cheryl that you and Larry came to my exhibition in the Jerusalem YMCA. And there's a picture there that Cheryl has with Ehud Olmert and you and me. Right. I remember. Yeah. It was really special for me. And I sent it to Cheryl, but I didn't send it here. And I used the tools that I had in this project, that I continued writing. I have now, during this Corona time, I had 2 books published on Amazon. One is called A Guidebook for Invisible Women. And there are children's stories inside. And the children's stories are separate. And I put them out called Mrs. Tummy and More. And right now I'm working on a project. And this is what I'm doing now. I've been in the past 9 months working on a project called Doobie Libby or Libby Bear. And it's to bring back the magic and the innocence of your teddy bear. And to co-create again a world where children feel safe and where they can share their emotions. And I'm finishing the Hebrew version. I'm ready to finish the English version and ready to start a big project. Hopefully that'll start in Israel, and Jerusalem is my dream that you started there, and from Jerusalem to go out to the entire world. So I have big dreams at this point in my life. And I thank you, dear Larry, in this great picture. And for this, using the, mostly the ideas of how to do project management. And I use it in every single thing that I do, how to prepare for my books, how to give me time management so that I came from a place with no discipline. So I got discipline from this amazing course and continued on with it. And I thank everyone Cheryl and Sam for his amazing course. That one of the things that Sam always talked about in his course was rabbits. And he used it in his statistics. And when Cheryl got in touch with me again, she said, all I can remember about you is rabbits. I said, it's not about me, it's about Sam. So Sam and rabbits and statistics and everything else that I got here, I thank you all. And good luck. I hope that you will follow me through on Amazon and on Doobie Libby and encourage me to continue on with this dream of mine to co-create a world where children can share their emotions and start to dream again and believe in their dreams. In other words, and I'm starting my PowerPoint with a song by Kermit, was to reconnect, to understand why are there so many songs about rainbows, and to find the rainbow connection, which connects lovers, dreamers, and me. And I thank you.
You, Libby.
Thank you, Libby.
Is Karen there?
I am. Okay. Make it short and sweet. I came to the program, the MSM program, when I finished my Army career as an officer in the Israeli Air Force, because I had been pigeonholed as an economist. I had a degree in economics and I didn't want to be an economist anymore. So I thought if I had a graduate degree, then they would stop pigeonholing me as an economist. So I spent the year in Beersheba, had a great time, lots of fun, and then immediately got a job as an economist. So that didn't quite work. I was at DEC, Digital Equipment Corporation, for several years, and then went on to have a prolific career in high tech. Aaron, I think I interviewed with you in '94 at Cytex. So
did you get the job or you didn't?
No, I didn't get the job.
Oh, shucks.
Okay, I got the job. I took a different job. I went to Motorola, Amdocs instead. Anyway, so I worked in lots of high tech companies and business development, bringing new technologies to Israel and around the world. And I complained all the time that I had this degree that was called an MSM because nobody knew what it was. And I was constantly having to tell people, it's like an MBA, it's like an MBA. And I had an argument with the Ministry of Education, who wasn't willing to translate the degree as an MBA. Anyway, all well and good. When I crashed and burned and had my senior moment, Len, I decided to do a PhD. And luckily, I was accepted because I had an MSM and not an MBA, because they only took people with Masters of Science degrees and not with Masters with MBA degrees. So I did a PhD in 2005, finishing in 2010 at Cambridge University in England. And I came back with a new career and a new lease on life. And since that time, I've been a senior lecturer in innovation and entrepreneurship at Rupin Academic Center in the center of Israel. Loving my life, would prefer not to teach on Zoom, but right now feel like I'm giving a leg up to students who, if they didn't have at least the continuation of their studies, they would pretty much have nothing. So I think I spend more time being a psychiatrist and a psychologist and a mental health therapist than actually teaching innovation and entrepreneurship right now. But I'm doing the best I can for my students who I love, and really feel like it's an important part of life, because in my industry career, I felt that I had always employed students that didn't have the right tools. And so my real aim in life is to give academic students the practical tools that they need when they're going into industry. So I have a full-time position here in Israel. I also teach twice a year in Italy, Taiwan, and several other places around the world, back in Cambridge as well. But loving life and very thankful to what the MSM gave me, not because it got me out of being an economist, but because it gave me kind of a year to, I would say, decompose after my military service before going into my high-tech career. So.
You sent us these couple of pictures, this one, and yep, that just another picture. Okay. So next one, Amonit, are you there?
I am here. Shalom, everybody. I'm Armonid Al-Balak, and actually the only person that I really remember well is Karen, who just spoke, because it's been a long time since I graduated, 1988. So how did I get into the program? So I actually moved to Israel in 1980, and I worked at Bank Hapoalim for 10 years. And before that, I actually did 1 year of my MBA at Hebrew University in Jerusalem, and I couldn't stand it. I didn't like the Israeli methodology at all. So as I was working in the bank, I got married, I had my first child, and at the time my husband was studying at Ben Gurion University in engineering. And when I heard about this program in English that I could do for 1 year, so that really attracted me. So I got a year off from Bank Hapoalim, and I probably looked something like that way back then when I studied. So things that I remember from the program, actually, number one, can you go back to the group picture? Which I haven't seen that in years.
Just a second. I'm going the wrong way. This 1988?
Right there. So that's me, the lady with the colorful, very large dress on in the front because I was pregnant with our son while I was studying. So that's one of the big things that I remember from that time. Thank you. I don't remember who taught the class. Maybe it was Sam, but I actually fell in love with statistics that year. And later I became a Lean Six Sigma black belt and then a Lean Six Sigma master black belt. So I think a seed was planted while I was in the MSM program for later on in my career. Really how it influenced my career maybe was through that statistics, and it opened the door for me. In late 1989, my husband and I and our two kids moved back to the States, or moved to the States, I should say. And I worked for 26 years at Electronic Data Systems, EDS, which then was bought out by Hewlett Packard, HP. And that was a 26-year career there. That picture there is 2 years ago. My first grandson was born in Austin, Texas. And I currently work at DTE Energy in Detroit. It's the local energy company, and continue using those things that I learned during all the years. I have very strong connections still to Israel, and I enjoy the program, and this is great. Thank you for organizing the reunion.
Thank you.
The book.
Yeah.
It's absolutely Israel and
in 1989, Jill, are you there? You have to unmute
Yes, I'm
yourself.
here. Can you hear me? So I saw myself in that picture, so that was really nice. Thank you. If you want to go back, I couldn't find a picture, and you have one, so you're going to be sending those out, right? So it was great to see everyone.
Yes.
So first of all, I just want to say that I don't remember how I found out about the program, because as Cheryl said, there wasn't internet at the time, but I guess I saw it out in the paper. I had a degree in humanities from Emory University. I was living in Israel. I was married. And I was getting, like Libby said, you know, I would go for a job and it was, can you type? Can you type? And you know English. And when I was in America, I was just out of school. I was 22. I was heading up a department at a museum in Newark, New Jersey. And then I moved to Israel, and everywhere I went, it was, can you type? So I saw this ad. I thought this would be, you know, great to study business. And actually I had I didn't take the business courses when I was in undergrad because I wanted to move to Israel. And if the humanities courses, I could do more of them and finish early. So I knew that, you know, I wanted to do the more courses that were based in math, statistics, and computer science, which I didn't do in my undergrad. So I did the program. It was really a wonderful opportunity. Sam, I mean, I remember statistics, you know, struggling a little bit, and you helping us, and Cheryl, and we had a study group. Lisa's on the team with me, and there were 4 of us, and we would drive together, carpool every Thursday. And I actually left my job before I started the program. I was working doing import and export for a biotechnology company in Yavna. I live in Yavna. I had a child, and I decided that, you know, later on I saw everyone else kept their full-time jobs, but I thought, how am I going to do the program, be a mom with 2 kids and also study? So I took a part-time job at the Weizmann Institute, doing the scientific conferences with, you know, no real responsibility, and I did the program. So my daughter used to come home from 1st grade, and we would sit in the kitchen and do our homework together. So, and she actually lives in the US, has an MBA from Columbia, so maybe that rubbed off on her also. So after I finished the program, I was still getting the can you type, but I did get a job at Indigo. So those of you at Scitex, I went to Indigo, living in Yavna, and there I became a buyer, and actually they sent me, I was in Japan. I did quite a lot of traveling. You know, at the time I had 4 children. I was in my early 30s, and women at that time didn't fly, and they were sending me to Japan. So the program really did give me confidence. And then I went to 3Com, and there I had up the procurement department. And what really also, one of the things that I learned that was really new to me was the operations. Manufacturing. Of all of you remember the courses about the MRP, and actually the brother, do you remember, Cheryl? There was an Israeli professor from Beersheba, and he taught us the operations management. I think I saw him in some of the pictures because his brother was my boss at 3Com. That was sort of, yeah, he was, if anyone remembers.
He was a pilot, I think.
Yeah, so his brother, that was a coincidence. And then I did, you know, then they closed, 3Com decided to close down the ATM business. They closed the center in Israel, and they closed the center in Boston. They just kept, you know, the Palm. At that time they had bought Palm. And I decided that I wanted to go into sales because I figured that I was managing at 3Com a team of 10 people at the time, and I had 4 children at home, and I just thought, this is too much for me. You know, the work is easy, the people aren't simple, even though we did do, the degree was in management. So I joined Sun Microsystems and as a program manager, because I saw the ad in the newspaper, I said, oh, I can do this. I joined, and then within a year, I pushed myself into a sales role. And I had some really great sales roles. I was in an international, I had sort of, you could call it a Club Med job. I mean, I traveled all over the world, and I did Java licensing and some of the SunSpark Solaris products, and we would go to California and get golf lessons. I mean, it was just a wonderful time. And Oracle bought Sun, and there were 300 of us at the time in Israel that you know, went into the Oracle acquisition. There are 10 of us left. I'm one of them. Oracle's a big company, but from the original Sun. And today I actually run the MySQL business for Israel for ISVs and OEMs. So I don't know if any of you know MySQL is an open source database, but we do license it for there's an enterprise product, and so that's what I do today. So I don't travel, which is fine because travel isn't fun anymore in these days of COVID. If I want to travel, you know, if you probably all remember, there used to be like taxes. If you wanted to travel, you had to pay a travel tax. So a job with travel was just a great thing to have. But today, if we want to go somewhere, we just, you know, buy a ticket anyway, pre-COVID, and hopefully soon. So that's what I do now. Selling MySQL for Oracle, and looking forward to retiring soon. And it's actually quite interesting to hear about people, what they've done, gotten their 8 PhDs and done all kinds of interesting things. So I'm sure I'll do something interesting also in the next few years. So thank you again for organizing this. And I hope that maybe it was great to hear the history, Cheryl. I wasn't aware of a lot of the things that you told us, so it was great. And Sam, it was wonderful to see you again. So stay healthy, everybody.
Okay, thank you, Jill. 1990. Itzhak Chavoni, you have the floor for 3 to 5 minutes.
Okay, maybe less. Thank you very much. So first of all, thank you for organizing, Aaron and Cheryl.
I apologize, Itzhak, I apologize for rudely interrupting, but has anybody told you that on that picture you look like Avigdor Kahalani?
Yeah, yes. I can see that. I see somehow the. By the way, I don't think I provided the picture. I think Aaron probably took it from the web or someplace, right? But anyway, yes. Yeah. So thank you to everyone, and I barely remember. I know most of the people, but just to answer some of the questions that Aaron very methodically asked us. Why did you get it, and how did you get into the program? So I believe I worked in a company called LO, which is now part of Elbit Systems, and I think my CEO one time came to me and said, "Hey, would you go?" I said, "Why not?" And that's what I did.
Itzek, we are losing you. We are losing the audio, so get closer. Yes.
Okay, let me speak a little. Okay, maybe I'll quickly connect the headset and maybe it will be better.
Yes. USB and lower the microphone. Yes.
Okay, hopefully it'll be better.
Yes.
So that's how I joined the program, and I had some wonderful friends that studied with me, but for some reason, I don't see them here. Margalit Yaniv and I think Moti Atia. Yeah, so I enjoyed the program in general. The main reason was because it was compact, and I was busy working during that time, like most of us. And I think also the fact that it was in English, connected to Boston University and other things, was, gave it some appeal, but also I think I studied a lot. And it gave me some confidence and mostly clarity about how business works during the years. My son, by the way, in 2020, we moved to Boston and to work actually to run some kind of a division in the border of New Hampshire that dealt with aviation equipment. So that's what I dealt a big part of my career. And my son went to BU, so he always teased me about going to Metropolitan College because he studied in arts and sciences. Anyway, I think it helped me in my career. As I said, it helped me clarify, business processes, expressing myself, planning, operation, things like that. It was really nice, and I think very helpful. Because during these days we were very busy working, doing miluim, raising children, and traveling around the world. So it was good. Recently, so we live in Boston, or actually Lexington, Massachusetts, not far from Boston. And my daughter, she's a physician in New York, in Manhattan. And my son is actually in Israel. He works with a printing company, Aaron, Landa Labs. And we're here I sent some pictures. I don't know if you can flip. I don't know if you have. Oh, that was before the program, when I was young. And just to show you, go back, go ahead.
Yeah, we appreciate the type of cars you're driving.
I think it was in New Jersey, one of my visits. And this is, I think, around the time that I was in the program. I spent some time in the Air Force, but I think the program was when I was in Miluim in the Air Force. And now I think you have another. Oh, this is just the snow of Boston. So that's what I have here. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope we'll get to, I don't know, maybe connect some other way along the years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Itzek. 91. The size of the class is increasing. We don't have any participants here as far as I know. Anybody? Also. Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, 1990.
1990?
Yes.
Okay. So what do you have to tell us?
Because I'm very happy that we have this meeting. That's the first thing. I joined the program in
Sorry. We don't hear a word you're saying.
I joined the program in 89. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, sort of, yes.
And I was studying part-time. I was working for the Ministry of Agriculture at that time, full-time. And I decided to go to this program because it was compact in time. Other alternatives in Tel Aviv or Hebrew University was like 4 or 5 years because these are spread all over the week. And I was working in the northwest of Israel near Nahariya. So I joined this program. I was waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, take a bus from Nahariya to Haifa, from Haifa to Tel Aviv, from Tel Aviv to Beersheba, and coming back at 11 at night. So that was, but it was worth it. And my undergraduate degree is in agriculture, soil and irrigation science. But I was working for the Ministry of Agriculture in planning and development agricultural projects and got more interested in economics and business. So I joined this program, and I think it had quite a bit of influence on my future career, because in 1991, I decided to pursue a PhD in business, and I moved to the University of Wisconsin. And after 5 years, I joined Ben-Gurion University. I was also teaching in this program for 2 or 3 years. And I'm still a faculty member at Ben-Gurion University. I'm a full professor of marketing, and I was the head of the Department of Business Administration and the Dean of the Business School. And I'm still using same example about ANOVA, the box of strawberries, that it's not random, so you can get royalties for that. And I think I have to thank a lot the people that put this program together, because it really changed my career. I quit the real world of agriculture and moved into business. And so far, I'm quite happy with this decision. And I want to thank everybody that put an effort to put this meeting. Thank you.
Thanks. 92. Sam. Sam, are you there? Unmute yourself.
Hello.
Yes.
Hey, okay, so I'm going to be brief. First of all, thanks for putting this all together. This was excellent. I, like some other people mentioned, I think I probably found out about the program by looking at the Jerusalem Post. And I don't even think I don't even know if I spoke to anyone, because I was living in the US at the time, and long distance phone calls are very expensive. So I probably just looked at it and said, that's a good thing, got the papers, looked it up, and signed up. I will say this, I got the degree right after college, so I had no work experience. It was like this whole theoretical thing. I was going to business school, and I knew nothing about business. But the degree did a lot for me, because I ended up, when I got out, I became an Israeli citizen. I ended up getting a position in the Israeli army, working as an organizational psychologist, because I had a degree in psychology and a degree in management. And that got me into what's called MAMDA, Machleket Madei Atnagut. I got a really interesting job, which ended up, which by the way was a lot of statistics, Professor Menliger. So very helpful. And it wasn't too bad. And anyway, long story short, I worked in .com bubble, worked at a bunch of companies in Israel, and eventually started my own company about 10 years ago. And now from meager beginnings with no special training aside from you know, a degree in psychology, a degree in business, and some good luck in the army, moved my way up and started a company, I said, like about 10 years ago. And now I'm a CEO of a company called 5 Blocks. Oh, that's us over there. 5 Blocks, we do digital reputation management. We're based in Gush Etzion outside of Jerusalem. And we work with Fortune 100 companies, work with high net worth individuals, and we help them manage their online presence, their online reputation. So like other people here, I think I kind of thought that this was this was a good thing to do after at a certain point in my life, but it really did help me. The MSM degree really did help me go on and do really amazing things. It was one piece in the puzzle that put me on a path that's like, you know, been very, very helpful and valuable for me. As I have like 40 people who work in my company now, and so I guess the program has a part in their success as well. So thank you all.
So this is what you do these days, right?
That's what I do. I ride on a bike.
Ah, yeah, me too. Okay, next in line, Louis. Louis there? Louis Gordon?
There we go. How we doing?
Okay.
Great.
Go
Wow.
ahead.
So I'm really pleased to be here. Lots of names that I don't know how it's like ships in the night. I seem to have missed a lot of you during my time, but the program was actually a transition from architecture. I'd come from California, architecture firm in Southern Cal, and I guess today we call it a pivot, sort of to leave the world of architecture and move into business. I had time in parallel to get into the Technion for the program of architecture and town planning, and in true Israeli style, you know, the Israeli schedule was not flexible. I had a summer Aliyah date, and they couldn't tell me whether I was going to get in until October. So I actually did get in, but I never looked back. I think part of what I guess has always been important to me in Israel, and here's 1990, is, you know, is going with the flow and pivoting where the opportunity arises. So business was my first pivot, and I've been really fortunate since then in taking the creativity and the passion from architecture and channeling into business. And I've done that in high-tech marketing. Worked at a host of companies, Orbotech, Kodak. I was for nearly 20 years. Corporate job was with actually Benny Landa and Landa Digital Printing. I helped him launch his nanotechnology for print, nanography at Drupa 2012. And I also was with the company through Drupa 2016 for everything relating to messaging and product naming, building the graphic designers. It was a tremendous, tremendous opportunity. I loved every minute of it. After the 4 years, I realized it, and I tried to think about why. And it also was you know, turning 50, the big 50, midlife. And I realized what I enjoyed was really starting off from nothing. Atlanta, there was the company name, the company logo, and that was it. And everything else was open. So I decided to strike out on my own and work and look to find small startups and help. And so I've been doing this independently for 3 years. And I've worked with companies in AI and energy, some other print companies. One of the companies I worked with is a company named Gencell Energy. They had an IPO a couple of months ago on the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange, and their company story and almost about everything they took to for the IPO was stuff that I prepared. Although they had the IPO after. And today I'm working with other companies. I've worked also with companies here in Israel, and I think that the program really was a great opportunity for me and a way to transition. It was also an introduction to, because I was in Israel, I think, for about 3 months before Saddam rolled into Kuwait. I sat out the war in Beersheba. This is my son's wedding, Yishai. He's next to me on the end in the top row. We've really, most of our friends are English speaking. My children are true Sabras. My son's wife, Yemenite, and he went to Yeshivat Hester in Givati, and my second son Matan is in the Yeshivat there in Ashdod this first, and I've really, I think for the last almost 30 years, I've just been simply blessed by living here. And really the program was really part of that transition, coming straight off the plane and making a life and building a life in Israel. Let's see, did I cover anything else? What else did I need to say? Is that enough about where I am and what I'm doing? Is there anything about that you want me to address?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Anything else? No?
No.
I think really that's it. Time is getting late for everybody. I want to be quick. You know, I'd be more than happy, you know, once COVID's over, meet any of you or get together over Zoom. You know, if you're at startups, I'm always looking to help, you know, even free advice. It also helps in these days. You know, I'd love to see how, you know, we can help Israel. One thing I do have to say is if I think back to those days in Beersheba, I was actually in Beersheba I had to run some errands, and I was just amazed. The city looks absolutely nothing like what it did when we were there. I mean, I remember in the 1990s, you know, the biggest building was, you know, the Hashmona Kamot, and today you have to struggle to find it. They're putting up apartment buildings next to the university, which close to 20 stories high, beautiful, like anything you'd see in the country, and it's really amazing. Also, as a footnote, when I used to commute from the Merkaz in the last semester from Tel Aviv to Beersheba, I actually used to go by the bus, used to move where I live today, Yad Binyamin. We're actually on the corner of Route 3 and Route 6, which also didn't exist then. It's just been it's been a great ride, and I look forward to the ride here in the Holy Land.
Okay, thank you, Luis. I suggest that you work on improving the quality of your internet service. It was really very bad. Okay, next we go to 1993.
That's what happens when you live on a moshav.
Julieta.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
So guess what? Where I am. I'm actually on a hike with Jewish Outdoors Club. This is where Jewish people here in New York, upstate, outside of New York City, we can do hiking here. So anyway, I'll be very quick. After getting my undergraduate in computer science, I actually worked for UPS for a couple of years, and then I ended up going for the MSM program. And the reason I really loved it because it was the Boston University and Ben Gurion University, and that gave me a jump start into a decade-long career in management consulting with Deloitte & Touche, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Tefin. I worked and lived in Israel, also in New York. It was a phenomenal degree that helped me really with my career. And also in terms of statistics, I'll come back because after 10 years in consulting, I ended up going for my PhD. And 11 years ago, I got my PhD in management and business administration. I've been teaching. And right now I am at Fordham University. I'm faculty in leading people in organizations. I have taught in the past 10 years, statistics and operations. So Sam, thank you so much for teaching me statistics. And so it was really, really great. And oddly enough, and quite interesting is that I'm actually the director of the full-time MBA program, not the MSM. So I'm learning about that whole program as well for Fordham University Gabelli School of Business. And just something, thank you, Sam and Cheryl, for being in touch with me for all these years. My daughter studies at Boston University, one daughter, and the other daughter is studying at Ben Gurion University. How odd. At the same time, both daughters are in this kind of a slash two schools and kind of like, following the footsteps. So anyway, thank you so much for organizing it. I would love to connect with people again. I would love to make back to Israel one day, maybe in academic industry, teach maybe or continue as faculty, as a professor, but also maybe run administration of MBA program or maybe MSM program as well. So anyway, thank you so much, everyone. And it's cold in here. It's like 34 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's pretty chilly, but anyway, just lots of views. Thank you, everyone.
Stay warm.
Yes, I will. Thanks.
Bonnie.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Good to see you all. I'll be really quick because everybody's dropping off, and I'm sure this is, people have other plans for the evening or afternoon. I got to the program because I had an undergraduate degree in psychology from Barnard College. I'd just been in Israel for about a year, and I realized I needed to do something practical. And so I was thinking about doing PhD programs, going back to the States, and I decided I wanted to stay in Israel. I was about to get married at the time. So I had a friend who did the program and he was raving about it. So I said, okay, fine, I'll give it a shot. And that's what, there it is. It really was kind of a jumping point for me to get into the career that I'm currently in. About a semester before we finished, I got a job working for Reuters. Reuters at the time wasn't just a news agency, it was financial information. And so a lot of what we had learned was put to very good use, particularly in the area of finance. And that really kind of pushed me on the right direction in my career today. So I've been in financial information now pretty much since 1992. And I stayed at Reuters for 12 years and went on to work for a company called Super Derivatives. Super Derivatives was a startup at the time that was doing OTC options pricing. So a lot of the stuff that we learned in finance was very put to use. Statistics, of course, I still use the quote, "statistics lie." That one still rings very firmly in my head from Sam. And Super D was acquired in 2014 by the Intercontinental Exchange. Intercontinental Exchange is Fortune 500 company, probably best known for being the owners of the New York Stock Exchange. When we were acquired, some of the senior people were looking at the folks in Tel Aviv as potential people to come and to work in the US, and I was picked to come and go to New York. So I am currently in New York City, and I look after our strategic partners company-wide. So a lot I do owe to my experience at Ben Gurion, and thank you. Oh, yeah, that's me. Thank you for organizing it. It has been really a great starting point for me to launch a really cool career. That's me now.
Okay, I like your smile. Cheryl?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, I pronounced your name correctly, Cheryl?
Yep, you did. So I was with the group that graduated in 91, but I think I graduated myself in 92. I took, and I have no idea why, Cheryl, maybe you remember, I took a leave of absence for some reason for one semester, which pushed me over to the next year graduation. I have zero recollection why I did that. But I was, unlike most of you who landed up being self-employed after and, now work as consultants or independent, this program actually pushed me in the opposite direction. I had my own company when I started this, doing English language copywriting and print production, working mostly with high-tech companies and government, Ministry of Tourism. And I was a little bored. You'd think I wouldn't be bored. I decided I needed some intellectual stimulation, a little bit more to do in my life other than run a company. And so I don't know how I found the program. I think it was through the newspaper, but decided to do this. It was part-time. and we had our every Thursday schlep down to Beersheba and back up to Tel Aviv. Initially, I was doing the bus as well, and then I managed to connect with a few other people, and we did a carpool. One of the most enjoyable aspects of the program was the stop on the way back at some hummusiya to have hummus and mushrooms or hummus and fool somewhere on the way back. But the people in the picture here, so on my right, left of the picture, Shmulik and Avi, I do not remember their surnames, unfortunately. We used to call them the Bobsy twins because they did everything together. They were always together. Both of them, their English was horrendous. And my mathematical, anything related to math skills was horrendous. Cheryl, when you talk about GMAT, I still have like PTSD from that GMAT. I think I was 95% percentile on language and I think 32% percentile on math. Well, I got through anything math related, the economics, just everything was because of them. They literally dragged me through kicking and screaming, pulled me through, one on each side of, with one hand on an ear, and they pulled me through those courses. And in return, I would type up and edit all of their papers that they had to submit. So it was a mutually beneficial friendship. But unfortunately, I've lost touch with almost everyone. But I did, what I got out of it really was I love the marketing and the communications part of what we learned, and that pushed me into marketing communications, which I've been in pretty much ever since. And worked for a number of tech companies, B2B technology companies. I'm now working for an innovation management company, corporate marketing director. In Minnesota for my sins. I don't know what I ever did to be here, but learning to appreciate the mild winters. Yeah, I'm just very grateful for the time that I had. It certainly gave me a lot of confidence, and I think just pushed me in the direction that I went in. Unfortunately, not in Israel anymore, but or like most Israelis who leave, say that I'm going to go back one day. So
thank you, Cheryl. Danielle, I think, wanted to excuse herself. She has something else to do. She emailed me. So we'll go to the non-Beersheva representative here, Gadi. Gadi there? No. Oh, you get Gadi.
I think he left.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Well, Gadi used to work with me at Cytex. He was in Brussels for several years, so I guess he took the program over there. And even got a story about him in one of the publications in Brussels. And this is Gadi with his friends. 1994. Yeah. Oops. Okay. Yeah. Do we have you? Ayelet?
She's not on.
Ayelet, not there?
No, she's not on.
It is bad because Ayelet, Cheryl, remind us, Ayelet and her husband
I think they both did the program together, correct?
together? They did it together?
I don't remember if it was together. What was it, 94? If it was together or
Okay. Well, Ayelet used to work with
Yes,
me at Cytex, and she came to ask me if it's worth joining this program, and I helped her in the first few days, few weeks. She right now, I think she's a vice president marketing at XMPI a Xerox company. Ori Sarid, I think, already left also. So 95. Barry?
Barry.
You there?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for organizing this. It's great to be on a call like this and see where we all ended up after all these years. And so back in the day when I did this program, I was in the Army. I made Aliyah back in 1988, and I ended up very quickly in the Army spokesman's office. And after I'd been there about 4 years, thinking about where I was going after that, if I was going to stick around for the long term or find something else to do outside the Army, I had a good friend, Yosef Fried, who I saw in a picture in 1989. He was in the graduating class of 1989. Too bad he wasn't on this call. He told me about this program. Luckily for me, the Army actually decided it was a good idea that I would go down. Not only did they pay for a good part of it, and I don't know how many other people in the program perhaps had a joint military kind of a thing, but they gave me a day off for 2 years, for 2 years. And I would come down, I think, similar to what other folks were saying, once a week on a bus, and then later with carpool for 2 years. I had to sign on extra time with the Army, which was worth it. I ended up leaving the Army in 1996, and later in Miluim became a lieutenant colonel, something which is very proud of. And actually, this is my last few months in the Army. After basically 32 years, I'm going to be wrapping it up in Miluim in a couple of months. But what this course, what the program did for me was that it opened the door to the high-tech world. I already had my eyes on it, high-tech, like so many of us on this call. In those years, it was booming, and that's where I wanted to go. A degree like this would be an opening to work in the marketing world, and that's exactly what happened. When I left the Army in 1996, I basically started a career in high-tech, which I've still in. I've been in various different marketing positions, like others on this call, traveled the world in the good old days, worked in companies like Gilat and Verint and Audio Codes, currently at a company called Alot, all very serious companies, very serious jobs. Unfortunately, Ori Sari just dropped off the call a couple of minutes ago, but we were working together when he was at Gartner and I was at Audio Codes, the kinds of stuff that we do. So that's where I am now, and quite frankly, I don't think without this course, this course, the program, I would have ever been there. You saw a picture with the band. That's what I love to do when we're not in COVID world. We had a lot of good performances. Hope to go back to it. I'll just finish and say that I published a book back in 2015 that actually did pretty well. A comparison between the Battle of Gettysburg and the Golan Heights in 1973. Interesting that both of those things are relevant in current times. The show Shot Nila that was on TV just a few weeks ago was. I was able to interview a lot of the people that were behind that story, including Kahalani, that Itzhak spoke about earlier, and of course Gettysburg and everything that we're watching, even as we speak. Flags waving in the U.S. So that's that. And my youngest daughter is now studying at Ben Gurion, which is interesting, and loves Beersheba, which has become a hotspot in the country. Probably one of the future places to grow. So again, just a word of thanks to you, Cheryl and Sam. Just the last vignette. When I took this program, I was very nervous because I wasn't very good, I thought at least, in mathematics and calculus. I remember in high school, I took a calculus course and I failed it miserably. But I remember the teacher saying to me, he wasn't going to ruin my career in going to Israel because I wasn't smart enough. I was foolish enough to take that class. Well, I don't remember the name of the guy who taught the calculus course that first year, sort of as a prerequisite. But I got 100 on that course. And then the statistics course, Sam, which was another one of my big fears. I did really well in that. I don't know if you remember it, but it just opened the world to that part, which is so part of a high-tech experience. And so I'm very grateful, and I'll end on that. Thank you so much for organizing it. Thank you so much for giving us opportunity also to remember Larry, who was such a central part of everything that happened. And good to hook up with everyone again, and I hope we do this again. in the future.
Barry, you mentioned the audio codes.
Yes.
My son works there, and by the way, they opened an office near the university in
Yes.
Beersheba.
I was there at Audio Codes when they opened it up. Who's your son's name?
Ram Nitzani.
And was he there back more than I left already back in 2017, but I'd been there from 2013 to 2017.
No, he was 2017. He was traveling by train every day.
It's possible. I'm sure we crossed.
Hey, Shlomo, fly in.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
First of all, thank you for the event, the arrangement of the event. And secondly, thanks for those who stayed to hear the last years. I think that after hearing all the people that already have spoken, that the many fields that everyone took place and educated everyone else symbolizes me the MSN program in Beersheba, the Boston program. It's kind of a seed that was planted in each of us and enable us to grow roots for a big tree of knowledge. And everyone spread these fruits of knowledge all over the world. And I was very impressed to hear the issues that everyone dealt with. And it makes you very proud to understand that from one institute, you can have so many benefits. So thanks for the program. And I was very impressed listening to what each of one of us have done. I myself, at that time, joined the program. I was a colonel in the Israeli Air Force, a fighter pilot. And unlike, I believe, most of you, I didn't have to work concurrently with studying. I just had the privilege just to study. So I had 1 year, fun year, very good year. And I enjoyed very much the program. After the program, I became a base commander in Mitzpe Ramon. And I tried to implement things that I learned, but it seems that was kind of quite a collision between the military way of doing things and maybe the civil war way of doing things, which I refer to the fact that, you know, in the military, you are very short, you are a commander, and sometimes you don't have time because of operational needs to apply all the things you have learned. But, you know, as I told you, it sinks and it grows roots. And it was beneficial for me also in the military, but not also in the Air Force. At the Air Force, from the Air Force, I retired at the age of 47 as a brigadier general. And then I went to, I was the head of fuel and gas authority in the infrastructure ministry. It's the regulator of the fuel and gas. For 1.5 years, it was then in 2001, and I retired, I resigned because already then in 2001, I saw all what we are witnessing today, Hon Shilton, all the things we don't like. And maybe I wasn't mature enough to fight it from inside. I decided I don't want to be a part of this unfair and protectionized system, which I won't elaborate. I believe some of you understand what I mean. And I spent a few years in private sector. I already studied a second law degree. And I flew the F-16 as a reserve until the age of 51. At that age, you are being kicked out, too old. So at the age of 51, I still pulled the 9 Gs. And unfortunately, they told me go home. I continued to educate, or in the Air Force Academy, I continued to be an instructor until the age of 58, did reserve until the age of 62 at the reserves as a planner, operational planner. And since I have to stop flying at the age of 51, I joined El Al, which I retired before the crisis. So timing is everything. So all over, I flew a lot of many years. I also had managerial experience. I am a CEO of 2 organizations. And I must tell you that retiring is quite, I'm quite trying to find what to do. I'm a bit bored. Now, like every one of you, I'm trying to avoid the COVID-19. And I enjoy my 4 children, 4 grandchildren. And I'm, I'm finding interest in teaching gifted children in Ramle, Arabs and Jewish people, Jewish children, all about flying and everything. Unfortunately, it was stopped because of the coronavirus. And I'm, like every one of you, I'm trying to survive. Overall, looking back, I did apply things from the MSN program, and I am very pleased again to see all the accomplishments that every one of you already accomplished. So thank you for organizing the event, and maybe we'll have time or the opportunity to meet eye to eyeball, like we say.
Excellent,
Thanks.
Shlomo. As they say in the United States, thank you very much for your service.
I used to fly to Boston also, so
okay.
Yeah,
1996, 1997, 98, 2000. Avi Aaron.
Actually, I'm from 1995.
Okay, so take the floor because you are a pilot too.
Me pilot?
No?
I'm not a pilot.
Okay.
I don't. The last time I had to fly was from Las Vegas. And in the middle of the night, I got an email saying that the flight was canceled. And what we found out that the flagman was not present when they towed the plane. They hit a pole, knocked down the electricity in the airport, and me that I dreamt not to go through Heathrow, had to go through Heathrow because El Al couldn't fly back.
They saved you money.
You didn't get my picture, probably.
I did. Keep talking and I will find it.
Well, first of all, I want to say a few words about Larry. Just when I was about to finish the studies, I went to a course about the Japanese market. At that time, Japan was like China today. And I proved at that time that Japan is going to go down and America, the US is going to go up. Of course, got myself a little bit into trouble. And Larry had to intervene. And I finished, graduated, and a few years later, never mind, here it is.
Okay.
And a few years later, I talked to Larry, and he asked me, well, what did you do with the knowledge? You predicted what really happened, because Japan pretty soon afterwards went down, and everybody knows what happened. And America went up. And he said, what have you done with this knowledge? I said, nothing. So he told me, that's the biggest crime of them all. That was Larry. How did I get to the program? Well, there were those rockets coming from Iraq. And at that time I was working for Olivetti, and we had a new consultant by the name of Jimmy Schwarzkopf. And if everybody remember, Schwarzkopf was the head of the American forces. So it appeared on the board, Schwarzkopf is coming to give you a lecture. So everybody thought, what the hell it is? Well, the guy gave us a lecture about sales and everything. And sometimes later I came to him, to his office, which was a chicken farm turned into an offices. I think it's in Batra or something like that. And I came to talk to him about advice. My manager sent me there, and he turned around and said, you should go and get yourself a master's degree. And the biggest program there is the Boston University MSM. Find out where it is, call them, and go and study. He didn't say it in those words, of course. So my wife called the next day, got all the details, and the rest is history. I registered, and a semester later, I came and studied. I can tell you that the company didn't approve my going to study. And every Thursday at 11:15, I left for Beersheba, came back home, and every Sunday they wanted to fire me. But since I made very, very good sales, they didn't. I made that the first year, I think I made 280% of what I was supposed to do. So I stayed there. And the funny thing was that the CEO came to me. He was an Italian guy, Franco Donati, and he came to me and he said, did you finish the studies? I said, yes. Did you finish everything he asked me? I said, yes. So now I'm going to send you a letter forbidding you to continue to study. And that was how I finished the studies. Studies were very interesting, and what it gave me is a bird's view. Well, we have a pilot. Well, I wasn't a pilot, but it gave me a bird's view of everything that is happening, to see how things from above, not from the everyday experience, but to see how the processes work from above. And that kept me in the next years. I went to many high-tech companies, very interesting, traveled a lot. We adopted 2 children, 2 beautiful, hyperactive, very intelligent children that gave us hell. And if we would have written the story, Hollywood would not have believed us because it was too surreal. For example, my daughter threw a pen at the teacher. And of course, we were called, and she was asked, why did you do that? She said, I didn't throw the pen at the teacher. I had aimed at the headmistress and I missed. And that was her. I managed at that time to have 3 brain operations. After the first one, the technology is so profound that after 2 days I left hospital, and 2 weeks later I was in Africa, actually in Mauritius. Well, I still work as a CEO in a company that I started in 2003. After a year being at the job, I was called to London to close the company because we did very little. I left the meeting. I remember it was a very, very expensive hotel. And I had first breakfast in my hotel and then breakfast in that hotel. And breakfast was so good that I couldn't eat anything because I had the first breakfast. But in any case, I left the meeting. I had 2 weeks to decide what to do. And somebody from the north of England called us because he saw some of our work. And I decided, what the hell, I'm not going to go to north of England. Stupid. And I asked my wife to call Swiss because I had to go back on the plane, and she called them, put me online, and she asked whether we could postpone it for the next day or next 2 days. And she already moved me. to the next flight. I said, no, I don't want to go in 2 days. And she said, it's too late. Your place is already being taken and you have to go. So I took the train to the north of England. Signaling was sabotaged. And I was planning to buy a new shirt because I didn't have any more shirts and I didn't have anything to shave. So when I arrived very late in Leeds, I popped under in Boots. There it was already closed. I picked up shaving, I would call it equipment, the razor and everything else, paid for it, walked out, didn't have a hotel. A friend of mine fixed me in a hotel in the top 20 floor near the train station. I washed my shirt. It was not iron. And I had a clean shirt for the next morning. I did it with shampoo, met the guy, and then we found out the way how to make business. And from there on, we were introduced to some of the biggest retail operations, first of all in the UK, and then in the States, not retail operations like Amazon, not Walmart. America is way bigger than that. And from there on, we started making business and we made very profound technology. We wanted to go public. We started the process, but we were told that our main, and please don't laugh, our main disadvantage or our main weak point is that we have sales. We're not Dream anymore. And that kept us. And since then, we traveled a lot. We did a lot of business. We did a lot of things. We started working from home actually 2 years ago. And everywhere we went, everybody is in those fancy we-type offices. And we didn't have any offices. But now everybody understands that we're in a better position than they are. What am I doing today? Well, we had so much work that I was recruited to do QA, don't laugh. And I took Bill Gates' advice. He loves lazy people because they find a very nifty, he did say it in those words, solutions to very complicated problems. So I managed to ask people to reprogram the QA software, took them about 5 minutes, and I did 1 week's work in 3 hours. What did the program give me? As I said, an outlook from above on things, but also very important thing that I'm using, and Cheryl, I will ask you for a little favor on that. How to write very complicated things in very few words. And that was the emphasis of our program. And I managed to resolve some issues in physics in very short words. And I submitted it to ResearchGate, etc. But I need to go to Boston University. I talked to one of the professors and she said she doesn't want to do anything because she's got too good job to risk it. And if you can introduce me and help me to go ahead. The only people who are really reading it are high-tech people and, funny enough, investment bankers. Well, eventually we will be able to do something with it. I saw your body language that you don't know how to help me exactly. I can't hear you, but if anything should happen from that. Other than that, I had a fantastic career, did a lot of jobs. Most of the work we're doing it with the US. Most of the people we are working with, we've never seen, not even on Zoom. And that's about that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ofer. So let's go back to 2000. Avi. Avi still there? Avi Aaron, you have to unmute yourself.
I don't think he's on.
No, I can see him.
Oh, can you?
No.
He was
I hope
on.
I didn't frighten him off.
No, I think he was. No, I don't see him. No.
With your story about brain operation.
Yes, yes. We'll have to send a link. Yeah.
Well, I'm okay now for about 20 years.
Avi also had brain operation, and I would suggest to follow the 2 links that I put there. It's a fascinating story in itself. Okay. The class of 2001. Rafik.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
It was amazing experience joining the program. How I got into the program, it was like a sense of curiosity. I saw an ad and invitation in the newspaper about an open house for Boston University and MSM in Beersheba and Tel Aviv. So I went there, and by luck, I met Mr. Larry and Miss Cheryl. And in the way back, because I have to go back to Gaza that night, and I joined her in the taxi for like until the midway. So during the way, we were discussing many things, and we found out that we have a common friend, Dr. Izzaldin Abu Laish, who is a beloved person to me, and he supported me a lot in joining the program. And I remember Larry, when he invited me for an interview after accepting my application, and I had 15 minutes interview with him. He was so nice with me, and we have discussed my career path, which I'm planning. So that was how I got into the program. But the 2 years of the program, as I took it part-time, it was the most challenging 2 years all over my life. I have 3 roles at that time: a student, a full-time employee, and a husband and father. And imagine that I live in Gaza and I study at Levinsky School in Tel Aviv. I finish 8:30 in the evening until I reach downtown in Tel Aviv. It is like after 9 or 9:30. So I have to stay in Tel Aviv, and next day morning, I go to my work directly to my office. So I kept doing this for 2 years. It was very challenging. And the best thing or results beside education and beside the advanced education I got to know my neighbors. And that was amazing, that we were like one family. I have very good friends, close friends. And that was a turning point in my mindset. After I completed that, I joined the World Food Program for 6 years. And after that, I joined the UNDP, United Nations Development Program, for 7 years as a team leader and the program coordinator for the poverty alleviation programs. After that, I came to Dubai to work in a transboundary management program for Euphrates and Tigris. And my role was inviting delegations from Turkey, Syria, Iraq, and Kurdistan to enhance dialogue among these countries. And it was an amazing experience. At that time, I was awarded as a Global Goodwill Ambassador from Global Goodwill Ambassadors Association in Canada, and also a Change Ambassador for Peace and Humanity from YELI, Youth Education and Leadership Initiative in Nigeria. And I was awarded an honorary doctorate in conflict management for my like efforts for enhancing and optimizing peace on Earth. This picture, which is shown on the screen, it was last year in January in Somaliland, where I was invited by the Minister of Investment Promotion there for 2 weeks to assess and prepare a portfolio of investment for the country there. And this picture, they took it for me while I was in the Minerals Ministry, the Ministry of Minerals, and I stayed 2 weeks there. I have developed a lot of ideas about investments. I talked with many investors after I returned back to Dubai. And after 1 year from that time, now we are working on a big program for agriculture of moringa, producing moringa in Somaliland. The program is to invest in moringa to create jobs in Somaliland, and also to establish a factory for paper out of moringa leaves. And this will be a pilot project in Somaliland. It will be extended to another 12 countries. And through the discussions, we came out of the idea of establishing and registering the International Federation for moringa producers to be a worldwide. And now I am handling the partnerships and the resource mobilization in this potential body. I think Boston University has added a lot to my life. Being in Tel Aviv also added a lot to my life. And you cannot imagine that I was contacted after the peace agreement between UAE and Israel. I was contacted by many Israeli friends that they are willing to come and they want to work, to do some work here, some investments and all of that stuff. So what I'm doing now is, as I said, I'm trying with the group of the investors to establish this federation, International Federation for Moringa. And at the same time, I'm focusing more on agriculture. Agriculture, because agriculture is, especially after the COVID, every country needs to do its production, its domestic production of food in order to avoid the exporting and importing and all this, these problems happening after Corona. I would like to thank all of you for organizing this event. It's amazing moments. And by luxury, that on Friday morning, I was in 40 minutes call with Dr. Azaldin. And I invited him for a meeting with the founders of this International Federation for Moringa, and he participated in the meeting, and he was so happy about the informative meeting. Thank you so much, and I wish anyone who wants to meet here in Dubai or to come to Dubai, you are more than welcome. But for a note that I didn't see my family for 5 years now, since I came to Dubai, because they are in Gaza. And you know the restrictions on the Egyptian border and go through Egypt and all of that stuff. But after the peace agreement between UAE and Israel, I wish I can fly from Dubai to Tel Aviv. I don't know whether it will be doable for me or not, but I will try my best through my beloved friends there. Thank you so much, and I hope these meetings will continue and get more connected together. Thank you.
Thank you, Rafik. Sharon, Cheryl, I see that several people left.
Yes.
So we don't have anybody else,
well,
unless...
I think there is someone else. I think my daughter wanted to come on and say a few words. Is she still there? Yes, please, my daughter.
Hi.
Hello.
I just wanted to say that BGU and BU was a major part of our family and our household. I remember so many of your faces, so many of your names. It's unbelievable. I mean, I was there when the office opened. I worked in the office almost every graduation. I was helping out with handing things out and printing things. And it's funny because as a kid, of course, my mom embarrassed me a lot, all the time. And one of the things is she just wanted me and my brother to always be part of my mom and my dad's life, which I think gave us so much. I remember her talking about all the women and men, parents working and studying, being parents. My mom did that. She started her BA when I was in first grade. I think another woman said the same thing. She started the program when her daughter was in first grade. I lived in Israel. I went through the army. I went after that to education, got my BA, got my MA, went into politics a little bit. But then when my son was 7 weeks old, I started law school, and I didn't even think twice about the possibility of doing it as a new mom. Had my second one between my second and third. And Larry was such a huge force in our family. I mean, he was just somebody that we admired, that we loved. And Mark and Sally as well. I mean, Mark and I are constantly WhatsApping, him and my husband WhatsApp a lot, which is just really nice to see that we continue this generation. And I'm gonna embarrass you, Mom, just a little bit, or embarrass us. But I remember this one time, Yotam and I, my brother, we fought so much. And we called my mom like 6 times. And Mom, Yotam is doing this to me. And Yotam, Yael is 10 times. Yael is doing the 5th. I don't even know how old we were, but it was in the summertime. And of course we were key latch kids because, you know, my mom and my dad worked all the time. So we were kind of home by ourselves. And then I guess my mom just couldn't take it anymore. And Larry answered the phone. And me and Yotam were so scared when he answered the phone. We just hung up and we never called her again. So that was a good, yeah, but it was just, but I really remember all of you guys. You know, you came to our houses, especially the foreign students came to our houses for Hanukkah, for Aruchat Yom Shishi. I mean, it was just always BGU, and BU was such a major part of our lives. And it was beautiful to see how, you know, how much my parents were appreciated. And really, I mean, BGU, BU was just a force for my mom and my dad. And I just want to thank all of you for saying such kind words about them, because they really are remarkable people. And now I have 3 of my own, kind of the same ages, and they do the same thing to me. So it's just from generation to generation, I guess, midor lidor, we become a little bit better.
Great. Anybody else want to talk?
This has been wonderful. I'm just so happy. So many people. You can unmute yourselves. It's been wonderful. I'm so happy that so many of you came on, and as Yael said, it was such a major part of our life. And now we're sitting in Boston, and I just feel like it's just this sort of circle. And there's so many connections I keep finding out over the years that, you know, people know each other, and somehow that there was something of such magnitude about the program. And a lot of it was the students. You know, you guys were amazing, and you kept it going. And it was honestly, personally, it was the one job I've had in my career that there was not one day that I regretted getting up and going to work. I'm not kidding. It was like every day I looked forward, even working with your dad, Mark. There were times we would get into it. He would, actually, I didn't put it in. I remember we had to charge you guys for the Hovrot, and he and I used to get in this absolute battle. No, Larry, why are you charging them 100 shekel? They're spending $10,000. Why are you charging them 100 shekel? And he would say, Cheryl, you just have such a kibbutz attitude. And I said, that's right. But it was this feeling that I think for both, it wasn't just a program. It wasn't just, you weren't just numbers. And I think that was one of the beauties of the fact that we didn't have online registration. You know, all of a sudden everything is anonymous today, and you just become a number. And I think that's one of the luxuries that we had. And coming to Beersheba, I think, you know, it wasn't easy. There wasn't a train. Now there are trains all the time. And you guys made such an effort to come down on a weekly basis. It's like, it was really something that you just kept it up. And it's just wonderful seeing all of you. It's beyond words. Ein milim, mamash ein milim.
Okay, thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you're
Thank
going to get an email from me summarizing it with the links.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Aaron, huh? You want to stay on a minute, Aaron?
Yeah, I can stay. Okay.
Rafik, have you and Mark connected?
Yes, I am still connected.
Excellent.
And hi, Mark. How are you?
Rafik.
Yeah, I have to. Here we go. Very well. It's amazing. I never knew. I know my father's dream was to try and extend and somehow develop the program into the Arab world and use it as a bridge for dialogue. I didn't know there were any Palestinians in the program.
I was with other Palestinians, like another 3 or 4 Palestinians in the same group, but they were from West Bank. I was the only one from Gaza. And the challenge that every class we meet, they tell me, aren't you tired? We are thinking that next time you will never come. And I come, and I come, and I continued because, you know, it was a challenging for me. And one day I remember that at Eretz, when I was going back in the morning at Eretz crossing, one of the officers stopped me and he said, hey, give me your permit. I showed him my permit and I showed the Boston ID. So he said, what is this? I told him, I'm a master's student in Boston University, Tel Aviv. He said, why are you going to study there? I told him, because I want to know my neighbors. He said, wow, okay, where are you from? I told him, from Jabalia. He said, Mahanim Jabalia? I told him, yes. He said, oh. I told him, don't be surprised if your son one day comes to you and he say, my teacher is Rafiq Al-Madhoun. He's the Palestinian. He teaches me at the University of Tel Aviv. Don't be surprised, because one day I will be teaching in Tel Aviv. Because I strongly believe that ignorance of each other is the enemy. Enemy is not the human, the ignorance. But when you know your people, when you know your neighbors, no enemy anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm preparing to write a book summarizing my life. The book is, the title is From Peace Seeker to Peacemaker.
Are you involved
I want to summarize.
Are you involved
all my
in
life journey?
Rafik, are you involved in the recent process between Israel and Dubai?
I have been contacted by a president of a college called Galilee College, or Galilee Management Institute now, and he wanted me to bring him to here. And also in 1998, I was in Japan, invited to a young leadership program. We were 10 Palestinians and 10 Israelis. And still, I'm connected with some people, and the 2 CEOs of companies who were with me at that time, they contacted me. They want to expand their work to Dubai, and we are trying to work on that. Even there is a Palestinian who lives in Jerusalem, and he has the Israeli passport. He has a PhD in organic chemistry. He has developed in Weizmann Institute some organic capsules for optimizing the immunity, and it could be used for corona. And I'm trying to bring it to Dubai here.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because,
Okay.
you know, this should be happening many years ago. Whatever we have now should happen many years ago, because, you know, life is very short. And I remember once I told in a meeting that we all have the same God, and God created us and all in the same shape. So why we make the differentiations among us? Why?
Yes, yes.
How many years have you been living in Dubai?
This is my 5th year.
And before you were in Gaza?
I was in Gaza before. I was in Gaza. I was working with United Nations for 16 years. I worked 7 years with UNDP, United Nations Development Program, 6 years with the World Food Program, 2 years with UNRWA, and 1 year with UNICEF as a consultant. And 2 years with the World Bank, because they have a program for enhancing NGOs, the Palestinian NGOs. I was working with them for 2 years. And now I'm doing my doctorate in business administration with the Swiss Business School, the Dubai branch.
Is it IMD?
The Swiss Business School, it is
Lausanne?
No, Zurich, I think.
Ah, okay.
Because I am here in the program in Dubai. I didn't go there.
Okay.
And now you were not here, Mark. Now I am in the board of the International Federation for Moringa producers. Moringa producers. Moringa, this is a very healthy plant, and it is very easy to cultivate and to plant again, and the harvest is too much in 1 year. And we have prepared a presentation for the Minister of Investment, who was with us in a meeting, in a Zoom meeting last Thursday. And we will kick off with Somaliland in February. We'll start the first pilot project.
Wonderful. Well, I look forward when all this COVID nonsense is finished. I would be happy to meet you in Dubai. If you're in Dubai, we have I think 2 or 4 flights a day to Dubai from Belgium, and I'm very eager. I've always hesitated. I've been in Saudi Arabia for the Belgian Foreign Trade Service, but I've never been in Dubai. I always hesitated to bring my family there because my son is born in Tel Aviv, and on his passport it says, even though he has also a Belgian passport, it says Tel Aviv. So I was always hesitant. And of course, I've lots of questions, and I hope you can answer them when we meet someday soon.
Now it is normal. It has no problem with even Israeli passport. It's very fine. And the entry visa is issued in the airport. Nothing wrong.
Okay. Well, we have European passports and I have an American passport, so hopefully we have a lot of options.
Inshallah, we can meet very soon. And,
my mother that is not here, she's gone home. She was a stateless refugee, and her father was a stateless refugee. So that's why maybe like certain Palestinians, we like to collect passports. Can be very practical.
Okay.
I hope to reconvene with my family, because as I said in my presentation that since 5 years I didn't see my family. We were stuck in Gaza and I'm stuck here. I hope I can land in Tel Aviv next time. I'll check with my friends there how it could be possible.
Okay, thank you very much for you all.
Thank you.
Especially to Cheryl, who provided the basic database from which we started the whole journey. I think that we could have gotten more than 33 participants, probably 133, but this was enough. Cheryl, we had like 2.5 hours. So this is more or less what I had anticipated.
Great, yeah.
Okay, so
All
thank
right,
you very
thank
much.
you. Good to see you, and Aaron, we'll be in touch. And
Sure.
okay, take care.
Bye
All
bye.
right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, Rafik.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you. תודה רבה, אהרון.
Bye.
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 תודה
Bye.
רבה. כל טוב.
Bye. Bye.